All right, I'm pausing to start this. Okay, everybody, welcome to our opening keynote speech for the Women in Publishing Summit. If you are new to our community, just got your ticket, just joined us, just found us, whatever the case may be, I'm Alexa Bigwarf, host of the Women in Publishing Summit, and we are thrilled to be kicking off our week of summit conferencing. The actual event begins on March 6th, so if you don't have your ticket yet, you still have time to grab those and join us from the 6th through the 9th. We are broadcasting this live on Facebook as well. So if you want immediate access to the recording, you can go over to the womeninpublishingsummit.com Facebook page. And afterwards, this will be available on our YouTube channel as well. The Women in Publishing Summit runs every year in March because it's Women's History Month, International Women's History Month. And we really wanted the opportunity to highlight the achievements of the amazing things that women are doing in the publishing industry, from authors to publishers, to editors, book marketers, the whole gamut. Everybody is just doing some amazing things, and we are here to empower, encourage, and support through that process and journey. I am very excited about tonight's guest. So I met Stacey at we're in the same mastermind together, and we met. Poor Stacey was very, very sick when we all got together. I don't know if she wants me sharing that information with everybody, but we connected at the opening dinner. I thought she was really cool, and then she had to stay in her room most of the rest of the time. But we connect on virtual events, and every time she says anything, I'm just there listening, because the words are amazing that come out. You will find as she speaks to us tonight, she is a very, very gifted speaker and very inspirational. So Stacey O'Byrne is one of the nation's leading experts in entrepreneurial transformation, evolution, and success. She's an international InspirActional speaker who specializes in successology, the science of success. And we all want a lot of success in our lives. Stacey has authored several best-selling books, including her co-authored book with Jack Canfield, as well as a co-authored book with Jay Abrams, which were both released in early 2022. Stacey is a trainer, a best-selling author, certified NLP master trainer, and a U.S. Army veteran. She has built 7-figure businesses and 3 6-figure businesses 100% from networking. Stacey has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, helping them create the success they desire and deserve. She helps entrepreneurs, salespeople, and business owners to make shifts happen in their lives, businesses, and bank accounts. If you mean business about business, Stacey can help you make your dreams your reality. Stacey's passion is working with amazing entrepreneurs, just like all of us, and also getting past the negative self-talk, the things we tell ourselves, and the things that we do that block us from moving forward and achieving our dreams, which is what we are talking about tonight in our InspirActional, how to move forward so that you can achieve those dreams. So Stacey, thank you so much for being our keynote speaker, opening up our conference week. And I am just so ready to learn from you.
Well, thank you so much, Alexa, for having me, and happy Summit Week to all. I hear you guys have a really exciting, amazing week coming up, and I'm just beyond excited about everything that you guys are going to be experiencing. How's that?
That is perfect.
So in order to roll up our sleeves, dig in, I'm going to start now. I believe in honoring action takers and decision makers. You're all here, and you're here. For some of you, it's late in the evening. For some of you, it's early in the morning. For me, I'm right in the middle. I'm on the Pacific time. It's 3 o'clock my time. So let's roll up, dig in, and buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going to make shift happen. How's that? So InspirActional, I learned a long time ago, it's pretty easy to get inspired, and it's simple to inspire. It's pretty simple and easy to come up with ideas and ideas and ideas. You're all authors and content creators, and you all have dreams. That's the easy part. The hard part is fueling those dreams with the action. And that's what this entire presentation is about. It's about getting us out of our way so you can get on your way and finally have your way. So let's buckle up. One of the biggest things that holds people back is they don't know what they don't know. And when we don't know what it is we don't know, then we don't know that we have issues that are holding us back from what we've always dreamed of, desired, and deserve. So we're very good at knowing what we don't know. We're very good at knowing what we know. It's what we don't know that we don't know, those blind spots. Those blind spots are what holds us back. And this entire presentation today, with our time together, we're going to start exposing a lot of those blind spots so that, let's just say, action or inaction becomes a choice, because once you see it and hear it, you can learn from it and choose to fix it or not. So why don't you have the dreams that you've always wanted? Why don't you have the goals that you've always needed or wanted? I remember when I decided to be a content creator, and when I decided to be a speaker and a trainer, one of my very first asks was an introduction to Les Brown. And when I asked, the whole room laughed at me, and I didn't understand why people thought that ask was funny. Because reality is, he's the #1 motivational speaker in the world. And in order to stay motivated, we have to have a strong mindset. Well, mindset's one of my specialties. That's the N in NLP, neuro. So I couldn't understand why people thought that was funny. And then I realized somebody in the audience had told me to get my head out of the clouds. That's when I realized that most people set the bar too low and they either hit it or they just miss. 2 weeks later, someone who was in the audience connected me to Les. As a matter of fact, they gave me my cell phone number. I was in an airport and I got a call from an unknown number. For those of you who don't know NLP, it's an amazing sales tool. And whenever I'm bored or don't have anything to do, I'll answer telemarketing calls just because I'm bored and it's something to do. So I answered the call and the voice on the other line said, "Is this Stacey O'Byrne?" And they never, ever pronounced my last name correctly. And I looked at the number and I realized I didn't know the person. And I said, "Yes, this is Stacey O'Byrne. May I ask who's calling?" And the voice on the other line said, "This is Les Brown." And I laughed and I'm like, "Okay, really, who's punking me?" And the person on the other line said, "No, really, this is Les Brown." And I said, "No, really, who put you up to this and who's punking me?" And they hung up on me. And I just thought that was the rudest thing in the world. Fast forward, seconds later, I get FaceTimed. I don't know about you, but I've never been FaceTimed by a telemarketer. So now I'm trying to swipe my iPhone and it won't open. So I'm swiping like a mad woman in DFW. And finally my iPhone opens and there he is on the other line. And he goes, "Do you believe me now?" And I go, uh-huh. And he laughed and he goes, "So a mutual friend of ours told me you wanted to talk with me. What is it that you like?" And I said, "For the person to tell me that they gave you my number so I could prepare for the conversation." And he started laughing and he goes, "Honey, just talk with me." So we talked, and about an hour into our call, he said, "I heard you wrote a book." And this is the first book I wrote. I never really considered myself an aspiring author. I just created a system in how I leveraged networking, business networking, and relationships. And it's how I built my first 7-figure business 100% from word of mouth marketing. So we're talking about it and he's asking me about the book. And, I very graciously said, "Sir, it's nothing like anything you've ever written." And we're talking about the book and he said, "It sounds like you're going to impact a lot of lives. Who wrote your foreword?" I laughed and I quickly grabbed a pen and I wrote the word forward down. And I said, "Complete transparency, I just found out I needed one." And he chuckled and he said, "Stacey, every good book deserves a good forward. Who are you going to ask?" And I said, "Sir, out of complete transparency, I just found out that I needed one. Can I get back to you on that?" His response was, "I would be honored if you would allow me to write the foreword of your book." So now I'm in the middle of a lawsuit at that time. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So now I'm in DFW, bawling my eyes out. And he said, "Do me a favor, send me your manuscript. Tell me what your favorite chapter is, and I'll write a foreword based off that." And I got really quiet and he goes, "Honey, what's wrong?" And I said, I don't have a manuscript. And he goes, didn't you write a book? And I said, yeah. And he goes, do you have a Word document? And I said, yeah. And he goes, send me that. He goes, that's your manuscript. And this is how little I knew about the industry. So today, Les has become a dear friend of mine. He's introduced me to tens of thousands of people, unbeknownst to me. Unbeknownst to me, the day that I released my book, it's called Secrets to Becoming a Master Networker. This is over a decade ago. The day I released my book, he blasted it out to his entire community, and I sold 30,000 books in about an hour. So I'm telling you this because you don't know what you don't know, and you definitely don't know who knows who. And if you stay in your way, if that itty bitty shitty committee between your ears, that bully on the brain, if that keeps you in your way, then you're never going to get out of your way, because it's what you don't know that you don't know that's going to continually hold you back. The next thing that we don't know is most people define success ambiguously. Now, let me share with you what the problem is about that. See, our brain is incapable of achieving ambiguity. Our brain can only achieve specificity. Let me give you a couple examples. Have you ever asked somebody, honey, what do you want for dinner? Oh, I don't care. I don't know. And then you go, well, what sounds good? Oh, I don't know. I don't want pizza. I don't want Italian. I don't want steak. I don't. And then finally you back up and you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't ask you what you didn't want. I asked you what you wanted. See, people today are really good at either telling us what they want ambiguously, or they're really good at telling us what it is they don't want. How do you define success specifically? See, throughout this presentation and throughout a lot of my presentations, I talk about money. Now, please understand, money is the furthest thing from how I define success. And reality is, it's the thing that most people need. It's the thing that most people want. Be honest with yourself. Could you use more money right now? Do you need more money right now? Would you like more money right now? If the answer is yes, then what's the purpose and intention of defining success ambiguously? Because your brain's incapable of pursuing ambiguity. Think about it. How many times have you ever said, I'll do this later? Number one, what is this? Number two, when is later? Have you ever noticed that whenever you define something like that, it never gets done? You know, a lot of people use the word tomorrow. The only thing tomorrow is it's a land where all dreams go to die. Because every day you wake up is today. Tomorrow doesn't exist. It's not on the calendar. Tomorrow is not on the calendar. Someday isn't on the calendar. Later isn't on the calendar. You get to get uber specific about what it is you want to achieve, when it is you want to achieve it, and how you're going to achieve it. See, one of the things whenever I ask somebody, how do you define success? Their response to me is something along the lines of, I'd like to make more money. So I'll throw a penny at them. And they look at me and go, oh, come on, what's this? And I go, it's more money. It's more than what you had a second ago. And they look at me and they just kind of shake their head and they're like, well, that's not what I mean. That's how your brain takes it. More is a comparative. More compared to what? More, a penny more is more than what you had a few seconds ago. If you want to achieve success, and I mean levels of success that are ground shattering, life changing, you get specific. You also get to get really real. Because the number one person we lie to the most is ourself. How frequently do you tell yourself everything's okay when it's not? When bills are past due, or you're behind, or you owe people information, or you owe fill in the blank, whatever. If it's not okay, then what's the purpose of telling yourself it's okay? This isn't a beatdown session. This isn't about beating yourself down and being your own number one bully. It's not about feeding that itty bitty shitty committee or the bully on the brain. It's about bitch slapping that bully on the brain and allowing yourself to be real. Because the only way you're ever going to get to where it is you want to go is by number one, defining it being where you want to go, and understanding your starting point. where you're starting. If you're unclear about both of those, you're never going to get to where you're going. That would be like walking into an airport going, I'm here to go on vacation. Where are you going? I don't know. You got to know where you want to go, and you got to know where you're starting. And the more honest you get with yourself about both aspects and what it is you're willing to do in the middle to make it happen, the sooner shift will change. The next question we get to ask ourselves is WTF? And that's a really fair question. And WTF is not what you think it is. It's where's the focus? Where's the focus on what it is you want or what it is you don't want? Do you know that science has proven the average person has between 64,000 and 90,000 thoughts in a day? 64 to 90,000 thoughts in a day. I have no clue how science has come up with these numbers. I just see a bunch of scientists with white coats in a room with clickers going, oh, there was one, oh, there's another, there's another. I don't know how they have identified that information. I just know they have a lot of white paper and a lot of studies on it. What the scary thing is about those statistics, 64,000 to 90,000 thoughts in a day. The same average person, over 90% of those thoughts are focused on what it is they don't want to happen. Now, what happens if you're constantly focusing on what it is you don't want to happen? Your energy goes where your focus flows. Have you ever merged on to whatever freeway or highway system is around you and then see an accident on the side of the road? You look over at the accident, and what happens to your vehicle? What happens to your car? It starts drifting over in the direction you're focused on. Our performance is no different. When we turn around and take our eyes off the prize, when we turn around and we stop focusing on what it is we want to happen, what it is we're doing to create it, well, then reality is we're going to start gliding off to what does have our attention. What's the purpose of focusing, taking your time, your space, your resources, your energy? What's the purpose of focusing on what it is you don't want to happen when you have all this opportunity ahead of you? Now, look, a lot of people tell me you don't understand. You don't understand because you've built 2 7-figure businesses and 6 6-figure businesses. Well, let me share something with you. Life hasn't always been easy for me. You know, when I got discharged from the military, I got discharged with 2 forms of PTSD. My emergence back into civilian life was very difficult. I trusted nobody and I never felt safe. Now, what happened was I had a lot of lessons that I got to learn from that. Fast forward, I climbed the corporate ladder really quick because the one thing that the military taught me was how to give 100%. Because if I didn't give 100%, the alternative was a body bag ride home. So reality is, knowing how to give 100%, when I was in corporate America, I climbed that ladder really quick and I went from making minimum wage to a very high 6-figure income very quickly. As a matter of fact, I went from an entry-level sales position to being responsible for 500 salespeople and 32 profit centers and traveling 200,000 miles a year within 3.5 years. Now, I got laid off during 9/11. You know, the industry I was in tanked because of 9/11. Now I find myself gainfully unemployed like the majority of middle America. Every time I would go on a job interview, I kept being told you're overqualified for this. I kept being told that we can't hire you because you could replace us and our boss. I found myself certifiably unemployable. So I jumped off the cliff and became a very reluctant entrepreneur. And a friend of mine's friend owned a printing company. It was a distressed printing company. It was about $185,000 a year. It was $197,000 in debt. I dug in And I started helping this person build the business. I became a partner with them. I gave them sweat equity. Through this process, we built this company to a thriving 1.3, $1.5 million company within about 18 months. See, success leaves clues. Part of the clues is specificity and action. I know what I know. I know what I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know, which is why I surround myself with coaches, because they're going to help expose my blind spots. And when I see them, I can learn from them, I can fix them. So fast forward, after 18 months, we've built the American dream. A few years into it, we have a thriving multi-million-dollar company, along with $1 million commercial business. I crushed my hand with a 300-pound box, and I needed 7 surgeries to rebuild it. Through the course of rebuilding this business, or I'm sorry, through the course of rebuilding my wrist, I woke up one day to 16 cents in the bank. My business partner embezzled everything from me. Not only did he embezzle everything from me, he turned around and sued me the very next day. See, in our legal system, first strike clouds the water and second strike is smoke and mirrors. He sued me so that my lawsuit would look fraudulent because he knew I was going to sue him. I spent the next 4.5 years in court defending myself from being embezzled on. Not only that, through the process, I had to file bankruptcy, because he stopped paying everything that I personally guaranteed. Now, through this entire process, what was I focusing on? On the lawsuit? No, I hired an attorney. You want to know how I hired an attorney? A friend lent me 10 grand for a retainer, and I had to work my ass off. I ended up working 7 different income opportunities. I jumped into a direct sales business. In direct sales, I started making $20,000 and $30,000 a month within 2.5 months. My legal bills every month were about $40,000. So when I tell you WTF, I understand what it's like to be struggling. I had, at that time, both my girls were in school. One of them was in elementary school, the other one was in high school. I understand the imprint years. I understand the programming years. So for me, I had to be very aware of my language. I had to be very aware of my focus, because I wanted to avoid projecting any of my existing situations as limitations onto my kids. So for me, WTF, my focus was on continuing to grow my legacy, my future, my wealth. The past is a learning. The present we have responsibility for in order to create our future. So ask yourself, where's the focus? On what it is you want or what it is you don't want? And take responsibility for how it is you're going to create what it is you want. And that all starts with asking yourself, is your ask too small and is your butt too big? This is my #1 requested keynote, along with my new book that's releasing pretty soon. I believe probably in the next 6 weeks. We should have it all wrapped up. So you heard me share the story about when I asked for an introduction to Les Brown, and the whole room started laughing at me, and then one of the gentlemen in the room told me to get my head out of the clouds. See, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they set the bar too low, and they either hit it or they just miss. This has to do with our programming. You get to step back and look at your imprint years. Science has proven that we have been imprinted between the ages of 0 to 7. What was money like when you were growing up? Were you allowed to openly talk about it? Did your parents argue about it? Look, this isn't about blaming mommy and daddy for the bad, because reality is, if you're going to blame them for the bad, you get to blame them for the good. This is about really stepping back and looking at who we are and how we are. What you have between your ears is nothing more than a computer operating system. Chances are it's probably outdated. You know, a lot of us who are pursuing our success have been raised by people who either lived through the Great Depression or raised by people who lived through the Great Depression. What was money like during that era? What was scarcity like? What was work ethic like? You know, we live in a totally different world today. So your relationship with success, your relationship with money, your relationship with communication, with work ethic, all of that has been programmed into you. I tell people all the time, a lot of people are walking around with DOS 2.0. If you're too young to know what that is, then look at it as OS 2 or look at it as Windows 2000. Reality is it's an outdated operating system. We live in a very fast-paced world now. And reality is the only limitations that exist are the ones that we put upon ourselves. Think about it. When you went to school, why did you study for a test? To pass, right? Why did you go to school? To pass, to graduate. What's passing in school? When I went to school, passing was, I think, 70 or 75. Today, passing is 60. What are we teaching people? Now, fast forward that behavior to adulthood, when we're out there adulting. Passing today looks like stealing from Peter to pay Paul. Passing today looks like just getting by. Do you know that science has proven the average person maxes out, caps out a capacity of about 38%? 38%. What would happen if every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year you showed up and gave 100%, knowing that my 100% right now is going to be a little different than my 100% yesterday, which will be different than my 100% tomorrow. But if every day I showed up to give 100%, don't you think that needle would move a heck of a lot faster than if every day I just skated by passing, or if every day I just skated by at 38%? Your number one competition is you, and that's because you ask too small. And then you let your big old butt get in the way. Up your ass and get rid of that butt. Because it all has to do with that programming. So sit back and look at it and take a look at this. Science has proven that you have been programmed, imprinted between the ages of 0 to 7. You were a blank slate. You were a blank slate. And then you were introduced to your relationship with money through listening and watching your parents. You were introduced to your relationship with relationships, your relationship with communication, your relationship with work ethics, anything and everything. How many people were told money's the root of all evil? Or money's bad, or people argue over money, or maybe you saw people argue over money. You know, a lot of people tell me, well, money doesn't motivate me. You talk about money a lot and that repels me. So my question to people like that is this, and maybe you can try this on for you. Do you have everything in life that you've always dreamed of? Do you have an abundance of money in your life? Are you taking a multitude of vacations a year? Do you have a multitude of investments and real estate, and you're driving your dream car and all of that? If the answer is no, then get curious as to why money doesn't motivate you. Because when we started out this entire conversation, I shared with you the number one person we lied to the most is ourselves. What's the purpose of that? Why would we ever do that? See, in my world, we don't ask why. All why does is force us to look at drama and trauma and story. There's no solution looking back like that. If you ask yourself, what's the purpose? Get really curious about those answers. Sometimes it's in order to not feel bad. That's okay, but don't you feel uncomfortable, and doesn't uncomfortable feel bad? What if we got really real with things and then got out of our way to do something about it? So we've been imprinted between the ages of 0 to 7. Then between the ages of 8 to 13, we move into modeling. Modeling is where the little girl starts dressing like mommy, walking like mommy, putting makeup on like mommy, doing her hair like mommy. The little boy walks like daddy, talks like daddy, does things that daddy does. That's modeling. It's where we take those programs and we start practicing it in our environment when we're safe. Then at the age of 13 to 21, this is where our teenagers lovingly have that frontal lobotomy. They take the frontal lobe out, they put it on a shelf, they go, I'll be back in about a decade. I'm going to go lose my flippin' mind right now. They move into socialization. This is where they take everything we've taught them in imprint and modeling, and they go out and practice it in their world, known as junior high and high school. And then at the age of 21 to 23, usually that's when they exit out of socialization and then they move into what's known as business persona. This is where our work ethic, our relationship with professionalism, and all of that is established. It's also about the time period that we call our mom or our dad and say, I'm sorry, I really didn't know it all. You were right. What were you programmed in? How were you programmed? Because that's how you're operating today. And just like you can't outrun a bad diet, you can't out-earn limitations. You can't outperform a low self-esteem or self-worth. How do you see yourself? How does everyone else see you? When you think about yourself, do you think about how strong you are? Or do you think about how weak you are? Do you call yourself stupid? Do you call yourself lazy? Do you tell yourself you're tired? Do you tell yourself you're burned out? Do you always accuse yourself of procrastinating? See, how you see yourself is how everyone around you is going to see you, because you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy by continually allowing that itty bitty shitty committee, that board meeting, that bully on the brain to beat you down. It's really time for you to step back and ask yourself, what's the purpose of me looking at myself like this? What's the purpose of me talking about myself or to myself like this? You want change to happen, you get to be the change that you want. Dwayne Dyer always used to say, change the way you looked at the world around you will change. Change the way you talk with yourself, other people will talk with you differently. Change the way you see yourself, other people will see you differently. This isn't one of these fake it till you make it kind of things. This is you really get to roll up and do the work. You have to do the inner work for the outer to ever work. So many people want that magic pill. So many people want that script. Just tell me what to say. Tell me what to do. Reality is that computer operating system is there for a reason. The programs that are running just have defaults in it. They have viruses in it. Do the work. The results will come. It's really time for you to allow yourself to restart, reset, and refocus. Reality is this. Every second of every minute of every hour of every day is a new opportunity. Have you ever heard somebody say, well, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start on Monday? What is the purpose of waiting to change your life? Change happens in a second, and it's the second that you choose to allow it to change. When are you going to choose to allow things to be different? When are you going to get out of your way so you can get on your way, so you can finally have your way? I have proven success is a science. I am a living byproduct of it. 30 years ago, when I got out of the military, I was suicidal. I had every reason to never live again. I had every desire to never live. When I got embezzled from, all that came flooding back. See, the biggest mistake I ever made was I attached my self-worth to my net worth. Reality is, money comes and goes. We are the one constant in our life. We owe it to ourselves to allow ourselves to be the best version of us. It all starts with a choice. It all starts with a decision. And you get to ask yourself, when am I going to choose to allow myself to live the life I dream? Because we really have two choices. You can dream about the life you want to live, or you can live the life that you dream. And like I tell all my clients and all my students, choice is a powerful thing. Suffering is always optional. Now, Alexa had asked me to open up for Q&A. And before I do, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make you an offer. I do what's known as a success bootcamp. This is to help you understand who you are, how you are, and all of the behavior that you choose to produce and the purpose of it. When we do these live, they're 4-hour events. I created a special live virtual session so that you can all come in and we'll take 3 hours, roll up our sleeves, get down and dirty so that you really understand every ounce of behavior that you're producing, how and what you can do about it. Now, I sell this event for $197. I like to reward action takers and decision makers. My assistant, Joy, is going to drop in chat a link. A link will take you directly to the registration page. So you heard me say that this registration is typically $197. Because this is Summit Week, I'm going to give you a discount. Because you are here, I want to help you make the shift happen. Remember, we're the common denominator in all of our results, the good, the bad, the ugly. How we do some things is how we do everything, and how we do the little things is how we do the big things. If you really want to make big shift happen in your life, the code is success, SUCCESS. The code is success. When we take that code, it'll give you $100 off. So it'll be $97. This code is good till March 15th, because I understand you guys are digging into Summit Week this week. Some of your friends are going to be attending this as a recording. So I want to make sure to give everybody the opportunity to get $100 off of this. After March 15th, the window closes and then it'll go back up to $197. This event is going to be April 19th. That's April 19th from 10 a.m. Pacific time to 1 p.m. Pacific time. So depending on what time zone you are, that'll determine what time it is for you. I did everything I could to accommodate as many time zones as I could. I'm ready to help you make shift happen. The choice is yours. Let's do this together so that we can really have shift hit the fan. You can up your ask, get rid of your butt, and truly step into your InspirActional self, that every life has the privilege to be touched that you're setting out to touch. I'd like to turn it back to Alexa and open it up for any questions, because I promised her that I'd make myself available for it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, was I right? Can everybody, if you can access your little reactions thing, give her applause, the hearts, the whatever. Was I right when I said you're just going to want to hang on to every word she says? That was so good. Your gift for storytelling is amazing. Look at all these. I've never seen that many reactions before in one of my Zooms. That's amazing. That is, oh, that was wonderful. We've got 4 questions in the Q&A box. If anybody else wants to drop one in there while we're talking about this, a couple of things I'm seeing in the chat. It is a virtual boot camp, so you can attend online but live, just like the summit. So we're all used to that. It's April 15th. The code,
19.
I'm sorry, 19th. That's a Friday, right? 19th. I'll include the link and the code and everything in all of your assets when I send out information to you. And the code is success, $100 off. So thank you so much for that. And Joyce just dropped all of that again. Yes, the recording for everybody who's asking about that while we're waiting for questions is will be live on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/write publish sell. It's also on the Women in Publishing Summit Facebook page. Okay. First question, what is NLP? I think you explained it. Did you maybe want to dig in a little bit more on there?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So NLP is neuro-linguistics programming. I am a master trainer. It's the science and study of human excellence. The N stands for neuro. Neuro's our brain. Linguistics, the way we speak externally to others and internally to ourselves. And programming, our model of the world. So in other words, the environment we grew up in and how we were programmed. So NLP, being a master trainer, I have studied under 34 boards. I am a certified trainer, 12 boards, and a certified master trainer under 7 boards, which means that I've immersed myself in the science for about 35 years.
Wow. So how do Timmy wants to know how we break the programming of our parents.
You know, there's a lot of ways to do it. The most cost-effective way is seriously going through the training, because that puts you in an environment. The way we teach it different than most schools. Most schools teach it content only. We teach it content, transformation, and evolution. So we teach people how to apply it in every aspect of their life. Another way is obviously through coaching. Being a success strategist and a coach, I specialize in human behavior, and I also just so happen to be really good at business. So the rule of thumb is, when we're part of the problem, we can never be part of the solution.
That's a good rule of thumb. Okay. Vanessa says, how do you advise bouncing back when multiple big tragedies happen, or even just one that knocks you completely out of your mindset and you can't find your way back in?
So our brain is incapable of processing a negative. Our brain, so have you ever told yourself, don't forget this when I leave? Then you leave the house and 15 minutes later, you're doing a U-turn. Our brain is incapable of processing that not. So our brain is only capable of processing what it is we want. When you say, don't forget this, the brain hears, forget this. So it's about your focus. Now, it's a very deep, complicated question, and I want to be very sensitive to people's life experiences. So reality is, we either make life happen or life happens to us. Is that fair? I say that to say, we are incapable of controlling what happens to us in life. However, we can control how we respond to what happens to us in life. And I know this is being recorded. I know that this is a live broadcast, and I will be completely vulnerable and transparent. I know what it's like to have earth-shattering events happen to you. When I was in the military, one of my PTSD diagnoses is military sexual trauma. I was raped twice in the military. So I know what it's like to have your entire life taken away from you. I lost my entire identity then. And that was when I started realizing I didn't want to live anymore. Now, I couldn't control. That rape was never my responsibility. However, I can step back and look at, I'll say in air quotes, the story. Every story has a victim, a villain, and a victor. For me, I made the choice to never be a victim of anything in my life. I will never be a villain for anybody's story, which leaves me to choose to be that victor. When I say choice is a powerful thing and suffering is always optional, we can't control what happens to us. We can control what we do about what happens and how we choose to react or respond to it. If we react, we become that victim. If we respond, we've removed the emotion, and now we get to do something about it. Everything we attract in our life is a lesson. It's telling us something because our unconscious mind is constantly seeking closure. So I hope that answered whoever's question that was. If it didn't, Joy's in this chat. Get Joy's email address and I'll have a personal one-to-one with you. I'll help you identify because I know what it's like to hurt. I know what it's like to struggle. And reality is I never want somebody to feel that way, and I'll do everything I can. My mission in my company is to transform the world by impacting impact makers. We can't do this alone, but we can do it together.
Wow. I almost don't want to move on to that. I want to let that set in for a minute before we move on to the next question. We've got a lot of questions, actually. I'm going to try to group the ones that are together. I think Joy is in the Q&A box texting the answers to everybody who has questions about the seminar, about the event on the 19th. So we're going to take full advantage of Stacey's experience here and go into those. So do you have any advice? What do you advise historically marginalized people to overcome structural issues like redlining, lack of family wealth, inaccessibility? Mindset can't make sidewalks wheelchair accessible. Oh, that's an interesting question.
So I don't think I'm understanding the question. Let me find it. Hold on, because I can.
Yeah, I think she's saying basically when there's roadblocks that are bigger than just your mindset can overcome. Sounds
Yeah,
like
physicality.
Yeah.
Again, that has to do with we are who we are and how we are because we're brought here for a purpose and an intention. You know, we were never created to live ordinary. We were created to live extraordinary. Being a speaker, I'm surrounded by speakers who have no limbs. I'm surrounded by military veterans that lost limbs. It isn't how we are that defines us. It's who we are that defines us and how we choose to be. If accessibility is in your way, then step back and look at how you can leverage it, lean into it, and who you can help.
Mm.
Because how I am doesn't define me. This defines me. This creates me.
Oh. We've got a couple of questions that I think like dealing with naysayers, dealing with rejection. I'm going to kind of roll those into one. I think you can probably answer that together in one thing.
Yeah, so there's a thing that we all know near and dear to us. We call them limiting beliefs, right? A lot of limiting beliefs come from ourselves, or they come from society, or they come from loved ones. You can't do that, or only they can do that. Reality is there's no such thing as a limiting belief. It's actually a limiting decision. What happens is when you attempted something and it didn't work, that moment afterwards, you made the decision, I can't do this. So whenever you hear a limiting decision, a limiting belief, ask yourself, when did I decide that? Was that a decision I made, or was that a decision somebody else projected on me? Now to go a little deeper, and this is actually part of the training, so I'll be very gentle when I deliver this. There's a concept known as perception as projection. We are incapable of seeing anything in anyone that doesn't exist within us. So if someone tells you you can't do that, all they're doing is projecting their own limitations on you. You get to choose whether or not you're going to own it. Now, I heard somebody in the chat say, man, this is deep. Life is deep. Life success isn't easy, because if it was, everyone would do it. Success is simple because it's a science, and science is duplicatable and replicatable.
You know, it's funny. My sister told me when I was in middle school, I wanted to be an astronaut. I'd just seen the movie Space Camp, you know, it was all a big thing. Like I wanted to be, and I was trying to convince my mom to send me to space camp. And my sister told me, now this is funny, before that point in time, I had excelled in math and science. And my sister told me, you can't be an astronaut because you're not smart enough. Guess who never did well in math, or it's not good enough in math and science? Guess who never did well in math and science ever again?
You.
Right.
Because you took your sister's belief.
I did. Need to unshake that belief, but it's been a long time now. I can't do math anymore. I don't want to. So
we get to change that. How's that?
that sounds good. Hold on, let me read this. How do you feel about practicing what you want to be as though you are already there? That's kind of your WTF.
So there's a difference.
Right?
There's a difference between fake it till you make it and unconscious congruence and authenticity. So when you're fake it till you make it, when you turn around and you start hypothetically buying fake Louis Vuittons and acting like you have more money than what it is you do, your unconscious mind is calling bullshit on you the entire time. And what happens is, I don't know if you've ever heard of heart math or studied heart math. The Heart Math Institute identified that we enter a room 13 feet before we ever get in it. So what happens is when you're interacting with someone and something doesn't feel right, if that itty bitty shitty committee, if that bully on the brain is just constantly bitch slapping you and you're like bullshit, 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 and you're incongruent with your delivery, then they don't know why, but they're not connecting with you. Something isn't right. So that's the fake it till you make it part. Now, if you're showing up 100% authentic, congruent, transparent, what you see is what you get. I never hid my lawsuit from people, never hid my bankruptcy from people. What you see is what you get. Then that opens up the door for you to be relatable and real. Now, I want to address two words, the word practice. Perfect practice equals excellent execution. There's no such thing as the word perfect, right? So if you half-ass practice, you're going to half-ass execute. If you show up in a state of excellence and you continue to deliver desired execution, then the way our unconscious mind works is it learns off habit. Have you ever noticed the more you do something, the easier it gets? Mm-hmm. Now, our dear friend Yoda always said there is no try, there's only do or die. Stop trying to do something.
Yeah.
You can't try to do anything. You either do it or you don't.
Oh, man. You know, my ex-husband used to get so mad at me when he'd be angry at me about something. I'd be like, I'm trying. Maybe he was right. Maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. Uh-oh, don't anybody tell him I said that. There's been some growth. All right, let's see here. Clearly, you're an incredibly resilient person. So amazing. Not everyone has this gift. What might be a way to access some of our own resiliency? I love that question, Geeta.
Okay, read that again for me.
What might be a way to access some of our own resiliency if someone doesn't feel like they're very resilient?
Yeah. So the most flexible person in a situation controls the situation, right? Don't believe me? Look at kids. There, so, us as parents, we learned a long time ago to avoid the section of purgatory, also known as the toy section, right? Because the toy section speaks kid. And kids will get uber flexible, and kids will turn around and they will find every way possible to negotiate to get what it is they want. Sometime in life, we chose to stop dreaming that way, whenever that was. I know that defining moment for me. An adult had told me to get my head out of the clouds and grow up. And I was 13. And for me, well, complete transparency, I refuse to grow up. I will always and forever be 8. And for those of you who know me, that is completely true. So when my daughter started negotiating with me, she wanted a Bratz doll when she was 3 years old. But it was, she had a Bratz doll, but she wanted that damn $100 house, that Bratz house. And she was 3. And I told her no, and I told her no, and I told her no, and I told her no. And she kept saying, I love you. I'll clean my room. I'll be good. And I'm like, no shit, no shit, no shit. And we kept doing this and doing this and doing this. And then 10 minutes later, I saw it snap. And she threw herself down on the ground and started kicking and screaming. I go, oh, is that the direction we're going? So I threw myself down on the ground and I started kicking and screaming. She got up, put the box back on the shelf, and got in the shopping cart. Oh, I tell you this because resilience is a choice. And the way we stay resilient is we live by the philosophy of what we feed grows and what we starve dies. Ooh. So if you allow yourself to be a forever student, if you allow yourself to forever develop yourself, then you will exercise muscles that your life, your business, your dreams deserve. Now, what happens is so many people attempt to take shortcuts. The shortcuts exist as podcast ingesting or YouTube ingesting. They find all those inexpensive, free, cheap ways to develop themselves. And reality is, you don't get $1 million body off the dollar menu at McDonald's. So why would you ever get a multi-million-dollar mindset and knowledge that is going to create the business that you've always dreamed of, desired, and deserve? You want resilience, invest in yourself.
Amen. Okay, gosh. One quick question about, Joy answered a bunch of the questions about the boot camp, but is there a participant limit for the boot camp? So if they're not able to sign up until closer to the 15th, is it going to fill up, or can they, do you know?
I'll keep my eyes on it. If it does, I'll just continue to expand the limit. How's that?
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, we have time for probably 1 or 2 more questions. Oops, I don't know which one that was. I accidentally started answering it. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to look through here. I love this question. Louisa wants to know, who was your mentor and how did they help you as you rose from the ashes of embezzlement and 16 cents in your bank account to the success of today?
So when I got out of the military, my exiting sergeant was a Vietnam vet. And he told me that his transition into civilian life was really difficult. And he invited me to get a life coach. And this is before the days of Google. I didn't know what a life coach was. They weren't in the yellow pages or the white pages. So I really dug in and I found a life coach. I have probably, over my 35 years of professional experience, I've probably had over thousands of coaches. I don't even know how to answer that question. Every one of them have served their purpose and impacted me. One of my first mentor ever was Jim Rohn. So my life coach challenged me, invited me to insert myself into a seminar. This is the time when seminars were really big. And I ended up opting in to the trifecta of the godfathers of personal and professional development. It was Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, and Brian Tracy all did an event together in San Diego. And Jim Rohn came out and he turned around and he said, I'll do my best, Jim Rohn. Do me a favor. Write down what it is you're going to make this year and figure out what 30% of it that is. So I did. At the very end, his call to action was exactly what 30% of my income was. He told us that's what you should be investing in yourself every year. You should be investing 30% into yourself. He said, if you're an employee, it's 30% of your W-2. If you're a business owner, it's 30% of your gross sales. You know, now owning a multi-million-dollar business, that's a challenge, an invitation that I aspire to do on a continual basis. I have 8 coaches today. I participate in 4 different masterminds. I have 8 private coaches. I'm in 2 group coaching programs. I attend 5 to 10 live trainings every year. I ingest about 3 to 4 books a month. I listen to 2 to 3 books a month, and I do 1 to 2 self-study programs every month. The way I do it is I schedule my happy hour. My happy hour is an hour of personal and professional development every day. On weekends, I do 2 hours a day.
Wow.
Because I know what I feed grows and what I starve dies, and you'll never outperform your mindset, your worth, or your esteem.
Ooh, wow. So, wow. Sorry. Just like I had a moment there. I just had a real big moment there. Okay, I'm going to say, everybody, if you want to continue learning from Stacey, please, please, please go over to that link, pivotpointadvantage.com/success bootcamp. Also consider, if you haven't gotten your ticket to the Women in Publishing Summit starting on Wednesday, that's another great opportunity to invest in yourself. We will not be digging into the mindset. That's not my jam. Go to Stacey for your butt being too big and your ass too small, but we'll help you get your book into the world. And oh my gosh, this was just, I can't. I told you at the beginning, I've been telling people at the sessions building up into this that they would just hang on every word, and you delivered. So thank you so much. You're still getting a whole ton of applause here. I'm signing up for the workshop on the 19th for sure. And so I will be there, and I can't wait to see everybody else on Wednesday when we start. And for the last words, Stacey, what would you like to share with everyone to wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. All your dreams, all your inspirations, all your desires, you'd be incapable of seeing it, hearing it, thinking it, visualizing it if it didn't exist within you. So because it exists within you means that you can achieve it. You just get to believe it. And that all happens by upping your ask, getting rid of your butt, turning your inspiration into action, and making choices to believe in you. Because if you don't, who will?
Love it. Thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you on Wednesday. Stacey, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone have a great evening, afternoon, and Wednesday we begin. Bye.
Happy summit.
Thank you.